Hey everybody, welcome to Hearing God in First Peter chapter 5, the conclusion of this great book. And it is a chapter devoted largely to the instruction of elders in the church, and specifically how they are to live and how they are to minister. And so very applicable for me personally. We'll bring some application around to you at the end as well. But I chose a particular phrase in verse 3, but to put it in context, let me highlight verses 2 and 3, where Peter writes and says, "Shepherd the flock of God that is among you, exercising oversight, not under compulsion, but willingly, as God would have you, not for shameful gain, but eagerly, not domineering over those in your charge, but being examples to the flock." And it was that last phrase, being examples to the flock, that caught my attention the most. And so I think what's going on here is Peter is really driving home the point that says leaders matter, and elders in the church as the leaders, the overseers, the shepherds of the church, so very important that they set the pace and the tone for the church, and that they do this by example, by the very way in which they live their lives. And so that includes personal holiness, that includes engagement with God's word and prayer, evangelism, service, how we love our families. And all of these ways we are to set the pace and to set the tone for the church, which is a weighty task. And so in the application part of my Here Journal, a question that I'm confronted with on a regular basis: what if the level of prayer in the church never rose any higher than the level of prayer in my own life? What if the level of evangelism in the church never rose any higher than the level of evangelism in my own life? And we could go on and on with this. What if the level of service, of love, all of these things never rose any higher in the church than they do in my personal life? And the truth of the matter is, it probably is a reflection of my life as the lead pastor, one of multiple plural elders here at the church. It's likely that that is the case, and that is a heavy burden for elders to bear. To know that our example is so weighty, and that it makes such a difference in the church. And so it's also interesting to know that just a few verses later, in verse 8, is that familiar passage about the devil being a roaring lion seeking whom he may devour as he prowls around. And so, in context, it's talking about elders. And so, I think by way of application, it just reminds me today how much I need your prayers, how much the elders need your prayers, for those two reasons. Number one, it is a weighty responsibility to be the examples of the church that likely our level of piety will set the tone and the pace for the rest of the church. That's a big deal, and you feel that weight. But also, while the devil hates all of us, boy, he hates elders, because he knows if he can strike the shepherds, the sheep will scatter. By impacting the overseers, the shepherds of the church, boy, it will have such an impact on the rest of the church as well. And so it is a tremendous privilege to be an elder, to be an overseer, to be a shepherd of the church, but it is also a weighty responsibility that comes with a certain level of danger as well. And so I just cry out to you for your prayers for myself and for the rest of the elders of this church and other churches as well. And we don't have to look far in the media to see high profile examples of pastors, elders who have fallen. And we certainly don't want that to be the case here. But even more than just the baseline of not falling, we want to be elders who flourish. And as we flourish, we're able to lead the church in flourishing. And so for that reason, we desperately need your prayers. And so my response in my Here Journal: Father, make me and the elders at FBC the examples you would have us to be. Help us to boldly lead your church into fruitful ministry, which blesses you and blesses our community. And so, again, by way of application, I hope that just spurs you on to pray for me, to pray for the other elders of the church. We love you, and thank you so much for your love through prayer for us. So have an awesome day. We'll be back again soon.